have someone that you can rely on as your hype woman or hype man, that when you're in these positions and you're doubting yourself, you can just text them and they can just kind of smooth things over. Because the second you hear that from somebody else, you can tell it to yourself all you want. You can say it in the mirror. You can record yourself saying it. You can record yourself being like, hey, you're really cool. Don't forget that. But if you are in these moments where your heart's being crazy and your tummy's feeling wackadoo and your head's telling you different things, you need someone else to step in. And I think that is so okay. Wait, it's not that deep. Welcome back to Not That Deep. I am so excited to be here. I have a solo episode today, a snackable episode, if you will. And there's honestly nothing better than a snackable solution. My mom was just reminding me of when I was younger, and I used to ask her all the time to get Lunchables. Lunchables are so disgusting. I seriously rue the day that they were born. And the fact that they really get kids so hyped up for the wrong reasons, shame on them. A Lunchable is just a bento box full of crap. And yeah, now everyone, I mean, my TikTok or a lot of my social media is filled with moms making lunches for their children. And I don't know why I'm so obsessed with watching it. I'm like, yes, bitch, give them the tuna fish wrapped in a cucumber slice with a side of Dijon mustard. That is what I want to be seeing. They're like, get ready with me to pack my kids up for school. And I think I can't wait to do that when I'm older. And then I remember, wait, I am older and also I have full autonomy and I could technically be doing that for myself. Maybe that's like a Q3 goal for me. Q3 for those listening is July, August, and September. Maybe that's a Q3 goal for me of like making myself a bento box. I mean, I make my mind a bento box. My mind could easily be classified as a bento box. Like I'll separate it into different things, like my main, my entree, and then like my dessert. My main is depression. My side is like some anxiety. And then the other part is just like my happiness and unwavering respect for everyone that I ever talk to. That's a bento box. What's your bento box? Having a bento box is just not that deep. I do love the idea of a Lunchable though, because it separates everything. And I think from a young age, like we had so many aspects of our childhood that were so nostalgic. And when we look back, I don't even know if they exist anymore, right? Like there's the Lunchable and then there's the Zoo Pals. The way that I would fuck up a Zoo Pal plate is so crazy. Like, give me a panda bear with panda ears and I will make that shit my bitch. Like, I have the panda face and it's like, what are we gonna put there? Probably chicken nuggets. And then in the panda ears, you put like ketchup and green beans. And then that is your pyramid of food. That is just always been the way that things have been made. Like, we were given these tools as children and we either grew with them or we grew without them. Lunchables grew with into a bento box. Zoo Pals, I don't know, probably also a freaking bento box. Everything comes back to bento boxes. Also, there's always those, I feel like BuzzFeed articles or something on social media of like those nostalgic things that you used to do as a kid. And it's like hit clips. That's basically just scrolling TikTok. Like, hey, do you want to hear 8 to 15 seconds of a song and then be done with it? Yeah. That's called a viral video. Hit clips are so rich, and they're so rich because they came and then they went. They came and made such a powerful influence and then they just left. I'll never forget listening to my hit clips, and it was Shape of My Heart and then it was Lucky by Britney Spears. And you would put the little CD, it was like that big, size of my brain, and then you would put it into the disc player and it would play only 15 seconds. And for Shape of My Heart, it was like Looking back on the things I've done. And it's like, why am I seriously crying in my pajamas, like as a child at my 6 p.m. bedtime? And then it would just be done. And then you'd be like, Siri, aka my sister, Siri, play Shape of My Heart again. And that's just so beautiful. Speaking of Q3, I feel like it was just last Q3, which feels scary. And that means that time is just flying by. And that also makes me think of time. Time flies by, but like, when did we become aware of how fast time goes? Like, I don't remember me being a 7-year-old thinking time flies when you're having fun. That was not on my brain. It was like, I can't wait to go home and pick my nose. Like that concept never even approached my frontal lobe. And did time fly faster when we were younger than when we were older? I'm sorry, the other way around. Or are we just so much more aware of it and that's why it feels so much faster? Or do we just become so much more engrossed in different aspects of our lives that we want to make sure to do so many things? Or do we feel more pressure and that's why time feels like it goes faster? Like, what about being a little kid made time feel so slow? Like, I felt like I was 8 for 17 decades. I felt like I was playing outside and rolling in grass for most of my childhood, which was true. And I still do that because it's really important to roll around in grass and mud. But like, I just don't remember when I was younger of like, wow, time was going fast. It's school again. Everything felt so drawn out, but in a good way. And then all of a sudden it was just like, maybe school made that feel more structured. For 15 years, if not more, your life was structured around summer break, school starting, winter break, school again, spring break, school again, school ending, summer break. And then the things that you did in between that felt long. I don't know. I remember I would go to sleepaway camp for 5 weeks and I felt like it was the longest time ever. 5 weeks, like that's my menstrual cycle. Like that shit is going by so quick now. 5 weeks. I can't fit camp into 5 weeks. How am I going to get a boyfriend? How am I going to lose my virginity? Like somehow we just made it all work. And no, I did not lose my virginity at camp. I was like 12. That would be concerning. But I do know that the Cool Cabin was losing their virginity at camp. And I'm really happy for them. Where are they today? I don't know. They probably have their own podcast and just rant into a microphone alone. Probably. There's quotes that like I've definitely talked about this before, how there was a point where you played outside for the last time as a kid. And that quote actually makes my entire body cramp because we're going to experience so many lasts and we're going to have no idea, which is why you really just need to be enjoying and embracing every moment that you have as if it was your last. And I think there's ways to look at that are a bit more uplifting than others. Like there's a way to look at that of like, live like you're never going to see your friend again after you see them. No, like you're going to see them again. But I think it's about cherishing the time because that moment and that time spent in this period of your life, the way that you are and the way that your friend shows up is fleeting. And to like feel that and to communicate that makes every situation with people a lot more valuable. And it is important to place value on these moments because they don't last forever and they go by really fast. And all of a sudden, 5 years from now, I'm going to look back and I'm going to think, where did my 20s go? Like that time is flying by so quick right now. I was in my 20s at one time. I can't even wrap my head around that. You're in it right now. Who do you want to be with? How do you want to be spending your time? I think that I'm in this point in my life where I am so aware of the importance of how I spend my time. The other Friday, I stayed in and I edited footage from a meditation event that I hosted that Tuesday before. Staying in to me used to mean something like so different. So different. I didn't stay in. I went out. I wanted to be out. I wanted to be socializing. I wanted to get drunk. I wanted to party. I wanted to take advantage of being young. Taking advantage of being young to me now is taking advantage of all the opportunity that I have. Taking advantage of being young right now is not taking advantage and going out and partying every night and going to bed at 4 a.m. That is not my version of taking advantage of being young. And I don't know what shifted. Perhaps my frontal lobe developed. I don't know. But like taking advantage of being young is respecting my body to the best of my ability so that I can continue to do the things that make me happy for as long as I can. And I think I'm like repeating that in my head a little bit because it is interesting of like, what does staying in mean? Staying in means maybe you didn't get invited to do anything. Maybe you didn't initiate plans. Maybe there wasn't something that you wanted to do. And I think in New York, I'm super grateful that I have a lot of great people here that the drop of the dime, if I wanted to do something, I could find someone to do it with. Or I could do it alone, quite happily. But it's also very telling when I want to do something alone and when I want to just rest. And when I put so much effort onto a weeknight activity and I am out until 9:30 every weeknight, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I'm trying to do all the things that I love, that it actually makes a lot of sense that on a Friday, I don't want to do that. I want to hang in. I want to get a good night's rest. I want to work out in the morning. I'm sharing this. I mean, y'all know I never go into this with a plan. I actually was just talking to my friend and she had said, like, would you ever think about having show notes? And when you have guests on, would you ever think about having, a bit of a roadmap of what you want to take them through and what you want to ask? How do you remember? My whole point of this is like, that's not that deep. Having a structure is not that deep. I'm doing what works for me. And what I want to do is I want to have genuine conversation with the person across from me. And if it's not the person across from me, then it's me talking about whatever I want to talk about because I can. And I think that that's important because I do think that differentiates me. I do think that most podcasts, I mean, why wouldn't they have show notes? Like most podcasts are bigger than mine. I think that's a good tidbit to call out, a humbling tidbit. But like a lot of them need that structure and that works for them. But what works for me is something different. And I think that's great. So yeah, staying in was very interesting. I think something else that I've realized as I've gotten older and had more experience is like really listening to my body and understanding anxiety. Yeah, with anxiety. I think that social anxiety was something that I never thought that I experienced because I always was just like having a great time socially. I can handle a room of people I don't know really well. And I've seen that like as I put myself out there more on social media or in different rooms, I almost feel a little bit smaller. And I don't know if it's due to that. I don't know if it's like being exposed to so many people who have been doing this so much longer or who I look up to, but there's been a couple of moments where I've just felt socially anxious. And what I mean when I say I feel socially anxious is like I feel like my heart feels a little heavy. My breathing is not what it normally is, and I have a pit. And I feel a little out of control of I don't know who to talk to. I don't know or think that what I say has value. I don't really want to burden somebody else by going up and talking to them. And these are things that I hadn't really felt before like 2 years ago. And I think that's on putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where I know I'm safe when I'm in these sorts of positions, but I think it's also really okay to acknowledge that you don't feel secure. You cannot always feel secure. You're not going to grow if you always feel secure. And how I manage that, I feel what I have done in the past is I'll go to the bathroom and I'll text someone that's a hype person for me, whether that's my mom, my dad, my sister, my close friends, and literally say, I am feeling so inadequate right now. Can you hype me up? Because that's who knows you. That's who knows you in and out. Have someone that you can rely on as your hype woman or hype man, that when you're in these positions and you're doubting yourself, you can just text them and they can just kind of smooth things over. Because the second you hear that from somebody else, you can tell it to yourself all you want. You can say it in the mirror. You can record yourself saying it. You can record yourself being like, hey, you're really cool. Don't forget that. But if you are in these moments where your heart's being crazy and your tummy's feeling wackadoo and your head's telling you different things, you need someone else to step in. And I think that is so okay. Put on your favorite song. Listen to a podcast that makes you feel good. I think that there's so many external factors that we don't even consider when we're feeling this type of way. Of course, it's like take deep breaths, right? Splash water on your face, drink some water. Okay. Well, sometimes you might need something a little bit stronger than that. If you have a Xanax, Xanax is always a great idea, but like not actually. I'm obviously kidding. But having a hype person is so good. And when I was in Portland a few months ago at this point, I went to a comedy club to do an open mic. And the way that open mics work differently in New York versus how they work in other cities that I found is in New York, it's almost like going to the gym. So it's a lot of comics going. You get 3 to 5 minutes of stage time and you try out new material. The idea is not to kill. The idea is to work out material that you've been working on. Is there pressure to be funny? Obviously, you're doing a stand-up comedy open mic. Is there pressure to have a fully fleshed out joke? I don't feel pressure, but when I go up there and I don't have one, it's kind of like, well, why did I just get up here? Some people sing. People do a lot of different things. Some people get up there and read off of their phone. There's so many different avenues that you can go down to do this open mic in New York because this audience is not an audience. It's just other comics. And my friends will always be like, can we come to a mic with you? Well, 2 people have asked to go. My current roommate, Steph, and then Gabby Logan. Shout out. If you're listening, text me. If you're not, I'll find out. No, I'm just kidding. But like they wanted to come to the open mic. Oh, and Zach Baker. Sorry, shout out Zach Baker. Like they all wanted to come to an open mic. And I've tried to explain it multiple times that an open mic is not for an audience. But then it was like, why can't it be? Like it can be for an audience. My friends can come. And if that's how they want to support me, then who am I to say no? I think it's so embarrassing sometimes to do an open mic because it's like, it could be so bad. But at the end of the day, like I'm still getting on stage and I'm doing my thing. So like if I bomb in front of them, what's the difference of me bombing in front of them at an open mic versus me bombing in front of them at a show? It's not that deep. Bombing in front of your friends is not that deep. Saying something that you think is really funny that doesn't land amongst your friends is not that deep. Like it's literally just not that deep. Like say it and move on. If they don't laugh, they're the problem. But open mics in other cities are different because they have a full audience. And so this one in Portland, they had, I explained how it worked in another episode, I think, but people paid and had to do a 2-drink minimum for this comedy club. And I ended up getting onto the open mic list and I like had a set prepared, but I still was just feeling like not amazing. But I wore my cow pants. I have pants that look like cows, or rather I have pants that have cow print on them. And I feel really good in my cow pants. And usually whenever I wear my cow pants, someone says, Dana, I love your cow pants. Where did you get them? And then it always sparks up conversation. And then we're kikiing over my cow pants. And then usually I become obsessed with them. And then that's that. So I wore my cow pants to this comedy club in Portland. And I showed up and I was like super excited to meet other comics and like talk to them. And I physically felt like everyone just turn away from me and not really want to give me the time of day. And at first I was like, it's okay. They all know each other. It's not that big of a deal. Like, just try to connect with one person, just one person. Cause I felt like that was more feasible than like going into a group of people who see each other every week and being like, hi, I'm Dana and I'm wearing cow pants. Like, that's not the best method, I would say. And so I tried to talk to one girl. And like, have you ever felt someone so deeply not want to talk to you? I would really hope that I've never given someone else that feeling, unless you're like a creepy man. If you're a creepy man, I hope I give you that feeling every time you try to talk to me. Pivoting. If you're like a cool person, or if you're just not a creepy man, I would totally be open to talking to you, because why wouldn't I? Like, talking to strangers is really fun. You never know what you're going to find out about someone. And I just felt like this girl, the last thing she wanted to be doing was talking to me. It was one of those conversations where I was like, where are you from? And she said, I forget where she was from, but she said, Minnesota. Like, no reverb. And it was like, this isn't an interview. And I don't even know you. Like, it's not even that deep to me that you're not giving me the time of day, but like, I actually find you pretty rude. And then obviously that just put a sour taste in my mouth. She was included in like this group that everyone was already in. And then me in my head, I'm like, oh my God, are they all talking about how weird I am now? Like, I think this is and I would hope that me talking about this maybe like makes you feel a little bit more normal, or maybe we're all just really weird. They probably weren't talking about me. They probably could not have given two shits about me. But because I was already feeling insecure about me bothering her, it already felt like I was knocked down a pin. And then when I saw everyone in the group talking and not being included or like invited, it enforced the fact like, you don't belong here. And I had a pit. Like, I had a pit the whole time. It didn't feel good. And I think what I learned from that is like, you're not going to be friends with everybody. But more so, what I learned about that is never be the one to make somebody else feel like that. And I really have made it my goal to make sure that if I'm in a similar situation and I kind of see someone on the outs, to let them in a little bit. You don't need to become their best friend. You need to make them feel seen. And I feel like making someone feel seen and making someone feel heard is free. Doesn't cost you any money. Like, I don't really get why someone wouldn't do that. Maybe they had a really hard day. Maybe they can't even feel maybe their body's in pain. Maybe they have a headache. Like, I don't know. The only thing that I can control is myself. Therefore, the next time I'm in this situation, I'm either going to go to the bathroom and text a hype woman, or I'm just going to sit in it and recognize how I feel. Social anxiety is something that probably a lot of people feel, whether it's at work, whether it's with a group of friends, whether it's with a group of people that maybe your friend has welcomed you into. It's this feeling of like, not even not belonging, but nobody wants me to belong. And it's a really scary feeling. And you do belong, and you deserve to feel like you do belong. But I think you should also recognize, where are you celebrated? My roommate has Post-its all over the fridge of manifestations, and she recently put up one that says, go where you're celebrated. I loved that. Going where you're celebrated is so simple, yet so often we go where we're not celebrated. We go where we feel like we're supposed to be, or like we can't leave because someone's going to be upset with us. Or I've always done things this way, and if I go somewhere else, then what's going to happen? Tell me what's going to happen. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to be around people who are celebrating you. I challenge you to recognize the people in your life that celebrate you. Where do you feel so good? Like, where do you feel literally uplifted? And I encourage you to spend more time in those spaces. This year, even these last couple of months, I've been really honing in on the fact that I want to be where I am celebrated. Are there going to be times where you're not? Of course. You can't be the queen of everybody's world, but you have control of where you put yourself. And I think that anyone would be really lucky to have you in their group or in their corner or as their hype woman. And consider me a hype woman for you. I love hyping people up and everyone deserves it. And next time you're in a situation where you're like, I don't feel that good about this, text me, DM me. Like, why not? I think it's so, we can so easily be connected with one another. Let's take advantage of it. I did say this was a snackable, lunchable episode, but then I started yapping. And if I'm start yapping, I'm gonna be trapping. And if you've been listening this whole time, thank you so much. If you haven't already followed me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, please do. And thank you so much. I say this often when I solo record, but I really feel every time I do this, I learn something more about myself. I feel like I dig a little bit deeper, and I also come out recognizing what's not that deep. And I am so grateful that you chose to follow me, spend your time with me, engage with me. I'm looking forward to continue to do this. And thank you so much. And remember, it's not that deep.